into the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth, the analysis days, the end of season 4. So, today's one might be a tiny bit shorter than the normal ones. The simple reason for that is we do have a little bit to look at, don't get me wrong. But I have a house viewing this afternoon and I really need to get this video done. But we'll try not to gloss over anything too important. I just won't ramble as much as I normally do. Cut to 45 minutes later and I've rambled as much as I normally do. So, weirdly, Miles Bright is still considered the best player at the club. And I would like to firmly disagree with those assessments. Now, obviously, the skin is slightly different, so I will just quickly fix that. I really do wish that would carry over from one save to another, or rather wouldn't. I might update the skin slightly so that it's now one notch further up so that we can start to look for slightly better players at an easier glance. But the point is, Miles Bright, terrible season. I mean, the man started 11 games for us and did not score a single goal for us from the right-hand side. He did get 2 assists in the entire season. Just a useless player, but he just doesn't fit what we want from that role. And now we know what we want from that role and what we need to be successful, we can really lean into that in the summer, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Raphael Shea barely played for us this year as well. His career at the club is probably over. So Miles Bright will almost certainly leave this summer, as will Raphael Shea. So we'll be able to free up a lot of extra cash just by doing that as well. Now, Ellis is on a non-contract basis, so he may well stick around a little bit just to give us some backup. Not entirely sure about that one. Depends, actually. What is his non-contract, so to speak? Yeah, he's barely paying anything, so we should... He's paying anything? We're barely paying anything, so we might well keep Niall Ellis around for one more season. Conor Emery hasn't played again this season, once more. Weirdly about Conor Emery is, I think he was okay when he played, and yet it wouldn't suggest that he should have been okay, which is interesting. His work rate's not bad, though, to be fair, but lacks the aggression. Harry Hammett, top scorer this year. He basically was a 1-2 striker, 21 goals in the league and 42 appearances. I mean, I had high hopes for the lad this year, and I think he's done well, considering we were playing at a higher level. He's still only 21 years old. He does have another year left on his contract, and we're not paying him that much anyway. But I am really interested in what Curtis Thomas can do for us next year in the National League. That's going to be interesting. Jack Holmes, his contract expires this summer, and I feel like he might be the type of player that could move on. I'm really not sure. I feel like there's going to be a huge amount of squad churn this summer, because, once again, we're still all over the shop with the players. Now, Jake Kelly, he's been a very strange one for me this season. I think that he has been a massively underwhelming signing. Like, ridiculously underwhelming. He's only got, technically 3 assists in total, but only 1 in 39 league games. And that is just not good enough. I mean, it really, really isn't. And I don't really know why. The point is, though, on £300 a week, I think we can do better than him in terms of, like, just someone that fit in the squad better. So I'd be tempted to let Jake Kelly go and free up that cash to go after someone else, quite frankly. Because I've really been very, very unimpressed with how he's performed this season. It's actually been shockingly poor. And I do wonder why. So if anyone's got any ideas as to why Jake Kelly's been so poor on that right-hand side this season, do let me know. Because I feel like I'm constantly substituting him for Harry Shepherd. Kasimba. I think he's done okay this season. I'm not sure how much longer he's got. I mean, he's still got another year left on his contract, so he's definitely going to be here next year no matter what. But I do think we need a little bit more height and presence in that defensive midfield role. If he was just that little bit taller, he would definitely be a massive feature for us. But still, got a goal, some assists to go. He's chalked up some assists this year. Did very well in the FA Cup so far this season, so I like him. Krasnitsky obviously was on loan from Stevenage, barely played for us, not really a huge deal. Ruben Lau, what a man. He's still got another year left on his contract, so he will absolutely be here next year. He's played over 100 times now for Whitport Athletic. What a man. And he's continuing to do reasonably well for us. Like, he's decent. There's still that other guy I'm looking at from Atheren Colliery, and I might try and bring him in, even if he does require a decent amount of cash, because we're going to need a really solid centre-back pairing. You can really see that our star ratings are all over the shop at the moment. Ben Mills next up. Poacher, pressing forward in theory, but he's just lacked a lot of areas that we wanted from that. That being said, he's still scored 69 goals for us. Nice. In his career for the club. And he's one of the few mainstays, I believe, from the first season, in fact. Yep. I mean, he played for us. He's played for us in every single division of, say, that we've been in so far. Less games this year. Definitely his worst season. I mean, he had that one amazing year, but this season he's not found the game time, but even so, he still wasn't scoring enough when he was. I mean, you look at that compared to Harry Hammett. But then again, I think Curtis Thomas could be that position for us next season. Liam Mottram is another. I think he will definitely leave this season because he hasn't actually started a match for us and he's on £170 a week. So another player that will probably see his time at the club come to an end. There's going to be a large clear out. Luke O'Reilly. I mean, what can I say about Luke O'Reilly? What a man. To only concede 22 goals in 42 games and get 23 clean sheets. How is this happening? This is what I'm talking about. Like, how is he getting worse despite having one of the best goalkeeping records of any player in England? He's actually conceded less goals than he has played matches for us. And that makes even more impressive given the fact that we had such a bad defence last season. Like, Luke O'Reilly has been phenomenal for us this season. Absolutely godlike. And I'm happy to keep paying him that for another season. Jacob Owen hasn't played at all. Will almost certainly leave this summer, get some more money off the wage bill. Perez de Gracia. I really do still like this guy, and I'm not entirely sure why at the end of the day, but there's something about him. He just does things. Maybe he just doesn't do things. I don't really know, but I do like him for some reason. Then, of course, the legend that is Ben Putman-Kiteley. Much better season for us this season. 5 goals and 10 assists in all competitions. A much more rounded performance from the lad. I'm definitely starting to enjoy him a little bit more. He's still got another year left on his contract. I was able to get his money down, which was really nice. He's made his 100th appearance for the club too. So now, I mean, what I would say is that this year he hasn't actually performed that much better than he did last season. Same number of goals in the league, more assists and more player of the match awards and a better average rating, but he has played more games. It's certainly not like his 10-goal, 28-assist season the year before, but I'm still confident that we know what to do to get the best out of him this year, and I think that really is going to make a difference. Like, he played, what was his total? Why does that say 34 and it's only saying 30 there? Hang on. Oh, I see, because the substitute appearances, right. So yeah, 37 appearances and 32 appearances that season. So we got 5 and then 6 assists this year with the 10 assists. So he's definitely had a better season. And from a disciplinary record, this is where it really does matter. So last season, he got 7 yellows and 3 reds. This year, he's got 13 yellows, sure, but only 1 red. And I think that's a step in the right direction. I mean, 17 yellows that first season. I don't know how he didn't get sent off that year. It was insane. So we'll go back to Harry Shepherd. A player who, admittedly, I still don't think has done that well, but he has spent most of his time coming off the bench, so I really can't be judging him too harshly on that, and I still think there might be something there, although his contract expires this summer as well, so we really do have to make a decision about the right-back spot, because we might lose all 3 of our right-backs at this rate. Jack Taylor, another player who's on a non-contract, I'll probably try to release as well. I really am going to have to change this squad around massively. We're going to try and basically shift a lot of the dead weight, bring in some young backups as well, and try to really, really strengthen. Even though it's going to be tough with that kind of wage bill, we're going to do our best. Curtis Thomas, though, is a player I do have some interesting hopes for. Now, he does lack a few things in certain areas, but I think that there's something about his ability as a pressing forward, although he does lack the finishing and the off the ball, which we will get him working on, of course. But he has that pace, and he's not bad at finishing. He's not stupidly bad at finishing. He's just quite poor for the level we're at. But he is good at the work rate, the stamina, things like that I really want from a pressing forward. I think he could do a job for us. Like, I'm interested to see what he's got for us next year. Simon Vincent, of course, on loan from Cambridge United. Decent for us this season, honestly. Only started 4 games, but he scored 3 goals, got an assist in there too. In fact, 4 goals in all competitions, 2 assists. I don't know. I kind of like Simon Vincent. I think players more like this are what we actually need. And I think maybe had he had a full season of actually playing starts, maybe he could have been better than Putman-Kiteley. I don't know. Danny Walker-Rice. I've really liked Walker-Rice this season. Legitimately really, really enjoyed his presence on the team. I can't believe that compared to Alfie Williams, he's been so much better. So 1 goal, sure, but 9 assists. That's not too bad, actually. It's one of the top assist records in the team, to be fair. So I will happily take that. I think that's only behind Putman-Kiteley on assists. So that's definitely a good sign. And again, I think it comes from the fact that he's got high aggression, high work rate. Natural fitness isn't amazing, but it's really those 2 attributes for me that make him so effective in those roles. 6 tackling is definitely useful as well. Makes me wonder why he hasn't got more tackles complete, really, than Putman-Kiteley. But Putman-Kiteley just gives everything for the team. Scott Wardley, of course, we don't really care about him. Jake Watson. My goodness, what a man. This guy, like, 12 goals in 47 games, 8 goals in the league, 3 in the FA Cup in 3 appearances. What an absolutely godly player he's been for us this season. Happy to keep paying him that £60 a week for another year, like, completely. I don't know if he'll actually get in the team next year if we do find someone better, but it's hard to ignore the impact that Watson's 12 goals for us this season have had on our run to the title. It's impossible to ignore. He's done phenomenally well. Really, really pleased for him. And that's a guy with 9 heading as well and 1 finishing. I mean, admittedly, that doesn't really count for much when you're from corners, but those physicals really have made a difference. To be both fast and tall has made a huge difference. Harrison Webster on the left-hand side. His contract's up this summer as well. He will almost certainly leave because he just lacks the technical ability, and he's not even that great at the defensive side of things either. And I think that's where one area where we could really do to stand and get a lot better. And that's considering how good we were defensively last season. I really do feel like the fullbacks are the one area where we're like, boom, we could really find something here, and I want to. Archie Whitfield. He's been on loan, obviously, so it's not super important what really happens to him this year, but like, he's not been fantastic. Got booked a lot. That's really all we can say. Although I think without the get stuck in on, we might well be able to do a bit more sensible stuff next season. You never know. So we've got Robert Whitten, whose contract also expires this summer, and again, he's another player that I may well let go. He's only made 1 substitute appearance all season as a result of me really strengthening that side. And you can see that I just don't think he quite had what we wanted out of that wing. He definitely did better than Putman-Kiteley that season, but he also went missing quite regularly as well. And then we've got Alfie Williams, who honestly should have done better, I feel like. 1 goal, 2 assists this season. Vastly underperformed or overperformed by Danny Walker-Rice, considering he's probably better in a lot of areas, although he does lack the tackling ability. Interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. But he's only on loan as well, so we'll get a lot of these players off the wage bill for the... No, not that he's paying any wages anyway, but there's going to be a huge clear out. The squad is going to be very, very different next season, I can already tell. Ellis Williamson, another player that will almost certainly leave. Charlie Winfield. Considering I signed this guy because we could find no one else in that left-back spot, he's actually done okay. 6 assists from left-back. It's not bad. He did get that one red card, but I feel he was hardly done by on that one. 10 yellows, player of the match award. But again, the average ratings for our left backs really are very, very poor, and right backs too. And we do need to keep an eye on the little cons. And I think maybe with better work rate, he could really do a better job defensively. And I think that's something we might want to look at actually, really from now going forward, is to make sure we've got good aggression and work rate on both of our fullbacks. Jordan Wynn, another player that will almost certainly leave in the summer. There's a lot of areas where this squad really does need to clear out, and it's going to be interesting. Ben Blythe is another of those players that, again, is just not really developing because he's not playing for us, and that's on me. And we're back to Miles Bright. Right, let's go look at the stats. So possession-wise, we've not been as bad this season. We've been quite solid towards the top, to be honest. Penalties taken. We've scored 4 out of 5, which isn't bad. I mean, most other teams around us have scored almost all their penalties, although actually, no. A couple have missed 3 out of 5, which is quite bad. And 1 out of 3 for Chorley. That's really poor. Oh, dearie me. Brackley Town scored a lot of penalties, though. Headers 1. Still down towards the bottom. Really down towards the bottom. Considering how... This is what we need. We need a slightly taller team still, and I still need to keep working on that. Headers 1 ratio, again, is one of the worst in the league, and that really does say something. 111 yellow cards. Hopefully next year that will start to sort of trickle away a little bit. The most reds as well. But so much of this was first half of the season, or really up until that Hereford game in the second half of the year. Games 1 in a row. Chelmsford, what the hell? I don't know where my accent just went. Chelmsford won their last 11 games in a row. Pulling off a União de Madeira here. Hang on. Oh my god. Sorry. Can we talk about the fact that, yes, Chelmsford did indeed win their last 11 matches in a row. That's the thing that happened. They also didn't concede in 11 matches. And more important than that, oh my god. I'm legitimately shocked here. They kept 13 clean sheets in 14 league matches and only conceded 2 goals in 14 games. That is ridiculous. That has to be like a new defensive record, surely. What the hell's going on at Chelmsford City? I'll be very amazed if they don't get promoted to the National League with us. Christ on a bike. Whew. I never normally pay attention. Lewis Boamorte's doing a hell of a job there. Bloody hell, I never normally pay attention to the form, but I saw 11 in a row and I thought, okay, that's bizarre. Yeah, 11 games without conceding. Admittedly, we've done 5 and I thought that was impressive. And it was. It's just, Jesus. Wow. Okay, well, that's certainly taking a turn for it. Gateshead with 72 goals scored. We were only 10th on 58, but what really matters is the defensive side of things, you know. Cross-completion ratio, 15. Could be better. Crosses completed, definitely could be better. Goals from corners, 13. Wow. Okay, that's not bad, actually. At least we're taking advantage of our set-piece setup this time, which is nice. Direct free kicks, we definitely scored 1, because Putman Cartley got one late on, didn't he? Tamworth taking advantage of that. Indirect free kicks, wow, 13. This is an area where we just cannot be good enough right now, but that's fine. We're getting a lot from elsewhere. Pass completion, not too fantastic. Passes completed for Chelmsford as well. What a team they've put together. Chances created, 151. Most in the entire division. I feel like that's a very valid way of saying that we probably should be up there. What I would say, though, Chelmsford, right down here. So, maybe not. Maybe not. Don't know what they're playing at. Shots on target ratio. 50%, decent. Shots on target. We actually had the... Wow. Interesting. We've missed the target a fair bit then, which is kind of interesting. Conversion rate is still decently high, though. Fouls against, fair enough. Dribbles per game, 16. Although right up there with Stockport and Chelmsford in there too. Here's a fact for you, though, right? Chelmsford only conceded 2 goals in their last 14 matches this season. And didn't concede any in their last 11 games. And they still finished with 5 more goals conceded than Whitport Athletic. There have been some absolute defensive titans this season. I just can't believe they actually did that. Conceded from corners. 2! That's so much better. Good lord, that's so much better. Only 1 for Chelmsford City, of course. But the fact that we only conceded 2 is so much better. And no direct free kicks. Go on, give me them indirects. 6. Hey, that is vastly better. I mean, you can't really argue with that. That's what? 8, I mean, we can still be a bit better, but that's way better than we were before. So that's 8 goals from set pieces, although penalties as well, I suppose. Okay, so we've also... So it's 13. It's definitely better than it was before. Like, it's definitely an improvement, I would say. Although, really, is it? Because that means that more than half of the goals that we conceded this season have actually come from free kicks and set pieces in some way. Because we only conceded 22 in all competitions. So that means that from open play, we only conceded... Open play, yeah, we conceded 9 goals from open play this season. That's about as good a defensive performance as you could possibly hope for, to be honest. Fouls made the most. Yeah, that does not surprise me in any way. Clean sheets, I mean, no surprise they got the most clean sheets because he got 11 in a row. 23 for us, though, is still pretty damn solid. Tackles 1, decent to see. Tackles 1 ratio, oh, that's something we could definitely look to improve. But I think that might improve now that we're not getting stuck in as well. Average attendance, 1,100. It's not going to be fantastic, but next year I do think it will be better. By capacity, that's slightly better. Stadium sellout's not even come close. Not sure what the highest attendance was for us, but yeah, well, I mean, only 800 for one game at one point. But Newport Pagnell only got 92 in the ground for one match, so not too fussed about being in that division, are they? Clearly. Right, finances. Net transfer spend. Obviously, we didn't spend any money, whereas Boston United did, and York City made a load of money, it would say. Or no, they spent loads of money, it would appear. And salary per annum. Look at this. We're spending 191 per annum compared to York City, who are on 1.3 million. I mean, that's just funny, isn't it? Us and Chelmsford City, frankly, who are a little bit insecure, which is a shame, but still pretty funny. So, Bradley Davidson of York City actually won the most man of the match awards, and he is a regen striker. Oh my god. Oh, wow. Mother of God. He's on nearly $2,000 a week in the National League North. I'm still going to scout him. Except I can't scout him, but bugger me in the face. That is an insane amount of money. That's like Blackhaven wages that they're spending. Mark Bolton of Gateshead, okay. Central midfielder. He's still on quite a lot of money, but again, I'm just going to look at any players that haven't been promoted from this division that we could potentially target. Dave Kearney, another midfielder. He's on a wow, maybe we're just underpaying for wages at this level. Bloody hell, Jong Yun, of course. We'd never be able to afford him. He's on massive money at Stockport and probably will move on in the summer because he's an insanely good player. So, distance covered. We want this one, really. Walker Rice, Putt McCulley, and Alfie Williams. Massive performers. Notice you don't see Miles Bright anywhere on here. Interesting. Jordan Smith of Gateshead as well. He's had a phenomenal season too. He's on a lot cheaper. Okay. Be good to get some scout reports on some of these guys, which I will do, of course, once we've got some more money. So it's useful to keep an eye on some of these lads. Jack Walmsley, there's a lot of Gateshead players on here. He doesn't have the work rate. I just don't think he'd work because also he's perfectionist personality though. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of scouting going on here. The work rate's too low for me. I just don't think that would work out for us particularly well with the work rate so poor. Dean Adams is another striker. Not so fantastic there. Anyone else that's kind of interesting? I'm looking at regions just because we know that they're likely to be younger and therefore cheaper. Trevor O'Connor, another striker. Wow, the finishing, though. The finishing, boys. Interesting. He's Irish too, which is kind of sick. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so that's average ratings. We're not really too concerned about that one. Joseph. He's a real player as well. Joseph of St. Neots Town. He looks quite good too. I'm just adding them now so we can scout them later. There's some interesting options in here as well. Yeah, so Ruben Lau, obviously up there as well. But interestingly, no other players too. Tony Russell is a striker as well. He was that guy I was looking at before. And his contract expired. Oh, he signed a new contract, bastard. Although, something tells me that there might still be something we could get out of that deal if we were to make that. But we don't have any money. Oh, he's already on the shortlist. Of course he is. Right, so attacking wise, goals, top scorer in the entire division was Harry Hammett. I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. We got the top scorer in the league. That's what we needed out of us this season, and we did. We went and got it. Juan Antonio Ortega is an American playing for Brackley, who's on loan from the MK Dons. Okay, I might shortlist him anyway because we might be able to loan him next year as well. You never know. Minutes per goal rather. So that's not too bad. Shots overall, and Harry Hammett hasn't required anywhere near as many shots as some of these players to get the amount of goals that he's got too, which is great. John Young. 75 shots on target. Harry Hammett has hit the target nice. Oh my god, look at this. 66% shots on target. That truly is the reason he's done so well. He will hit the target regularly. Terrific news. Even on here, he's 12th, which is not too bad. Penalties, assists-wise, Father Dave Kearney got 15 assists. Oh, that is encouraging. Sam Kinsella of Boston United is a Welshman as well. So many midfielders, like in the wrong positions too. It's concerning. Anyone else that I don't recognise? Mark Davidson of Stally Ridge Celtic. He's a striker. They've got 10 assists. Interesting. His passing... Oh, he's quite good too. I'm just realising how good a lot of the players at this level are compared to some of the players we've got and how much we are punching and how difficult next season is going to be. Kyle Scott of Chorley got the most key passes by a comfortable margin. Adam Bird of Tamworth. Again, he could sit deep and he's got a phenomenal tackle. And he's very young too. Like, we could probably get him quite cheap too. I'm doing a lot of scouting now because I realise just how many good players there is potentially down here. Jonathan Jones as well, another central midfielder. I feel like we want we basically, we know what we want. Matt Hickey as well, another central midfielder. Look at the passing attributes on these guys. These are insane compared to some of the things we've been able to get lately. They're in ridiculous nick. Patrick Nunez, another central midfielder. Yeah, okay, we've got to find some wide players. I want some good cross completion. In fact, do we look at that? Don't think we can see that one, can we? Chances created again. It's Kyle Scott, Jake Wormsley. We've got our own players on there. Putt McCartney and Walker Rice, though. Huge efforts from them this season too, which is great. Greg Botfield, winger. Oh, but he's at York. But wait, hang on. Oh, he's on loan from Barnsley. Right, even better. Potential for a loan next year. He looks perfect. He looks absolutely perfect for that role. That is a real option for us potentially. Anyone else on here as well? Donal McGuinness is at Newport Pagnell. Surely they're going to be going down. The aggression is... I mean, if it was 11, I could maybe permit it, considering this is quite high. But again, we'll have a look at him. He's... he's on loan from Ipswich. Okay. Options left and right here at the moment. Just making huge amounts of moves here. Cross completion. Oh, there it is. Okay, so... Patrick Nunez, the Jamaican, but he's a midfielder, which means he's probably taking free kicks. Sam Kinsella, we've already looked at. Lambert Boyer. Or Boyer, rather. I've been watching too much NASCAR. Oh, look at this now. Look at this now. Now, he does like the pace, but the aggression and the work rate are absolutely stellar. God, our shortlist is going to be insanely long this summer, but if we could even pick out just one or two of the guys I'm after, it could be very, very fruitful for us. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Dribbles for 90 minutes. John Young. Nice to see him up there. Botfield again, not surprising. But again, Walker Rice is in there. Putman Kiteley's fallen a little bit off this one because he doesn't actually have that great dribbling, I would say, in fairness to some of the other players on this one. Defensively, tackles per 90 minutes. Always a good sign for us as well. Shane O'Callaghan, 4.47. And he's a left back. And he's tall. And his tackling is decent as well. And he's... Oh my god, he's gone on non-contract. Oh, that's an interesting one indeed. Sorry, you might have... Oh, by the way, remember me saying that we played against Mauricio Pochettino? This is him. I don't know if he's actually... Yeah. I wanted to make sure that... I mean, he had the same name and he was Argentinian and he used to play for Spurs, but we couldn't actually see his favoured personnel. So it is Poch's son playing for Guiseley Celtic now. Not quite had the best career so far, has he, poor lad? So that's that. Mistakes into goals. We really want to avoid those if at all possible. Are any of the guys we're looking at on here? Nope. That's always a good sign, isn't it? Key tackles. Ruben Lau, 17 key tackles. Always an absolute god in those positions. Adewale Shagari, a Nigerian defender. He has poor heading, but oh, he's on loan from Leyton Orient. Doesn't matter. It's useful to know. He played well in this level. That's kind of what I'm more interested in some respects. He was clearly able to do a job at this level, and that's... Miles Purple, good stuff for Boston United. Lacks the height. Well, no, yeah, it lacks most things, actually. I don't know how he's winning headers at all, to be honest. They've got James Carragher. Don't know if he's any related. Key headers. What was that then? Key tackles. Oh, okay, key headers. Oh, that's why, because that was tackles. He was doing most of that on the floor. Any interesting... Miles Purple again, actually. Wow. Ruben Sanchez of Farsley. The tackling is probably the key here. He's got height. I mean, some pace. Might actually put Miles Purple on the list as well. The moment we get some scouting budget, I can send them after these guys, can't I? So, Festus Arthur, good lad. Liam Watts, I think we already looked at Liam Watts, didn't we? He's a striker. How tall is Liam Watts? 6'4". That actually does make sense. And he's not exactly slow either. Interesting. I'm just looking at options for next season and where we could potentially improve. Interceptions made. This would be a good sign if we could find someone that's really good at that for Mark Freeman Ashman. Defensive. Okay. But he's playing for Gateshead. Or is he? He's on loan from Port Vale. Hey, if we can get any loan signings, that'd be terrific. Shots blocked. Conceded. Of course, we had the least conceded, which was always nice. Least clean sheets. Well, not the least clean sheets. Second most clean sheets, which is nice. Saves held. They barely had to touch the ball, basically. 77 saves held in total. Saves parried. Where's Ashby Hammond? Has he not even parried enough of them to even be on the list? Good lord. And Luca Riley has saved. Wow, he's actually saved 3 penalties this season. So actually, we've only conceded 11 goals from dead ball situations this season. So it's been dead down the middle, 50%. Because he's actually saved 3 out of his 5 penalties. That is ridiculously good. Like, that's well above the average. Like, the average is like, 78%. So, to score a penalty, meaning like 1 in 5 or just under. So that's very, very impressive. Fair play to the guy. Wow, look at Joe Young. 11 penalties faced this season. He only saved 1 of them. But hey, give it a really good go. So let's have a quick look at the actual squad as well. But we've just found some interesting stuff there. So from a centre-back standpoint, obviously it's been Jake Watson and Ruben Lau for the most part this year, with Perez de Gracia filling in. The problem is they've played so many games that we've basically not got a chance to use anybody else this season. That's how many matches those guys have played. Jack Taylor played 1 game this season. And all we can really do is compare Watson and Ruben Lau because there's simply no other players that have actually even played in that role. Perez de Gracia has come on at centre-back a couple of times this season, I believe. But, yeah, 7 substitute appearances as a centre-back. But that's it. He would have always played in other positions to that. So, again, we can't really take much into his stats, too. So, they've played almost an identical amount of minutes, too, which is very, very helpful. So, Jake Watson doing well. Mistakes per 90 minutes. Mistakes, 47 dead on. We concede a tiny bit more with Jake Watson in the team. But the interceptions of Ruben Lau really does a great job for us. Is it because of anticipation? 7 compared to 5? I don't know. There must be other attributes too that makes him be so good there. Jake Watson's much better in the tackle, but does lose more tackles per game. Pass completion's about the same. He does make more key passes too. He does like a little ball over the top, to be fair to him. Headers one, about the same, although Ruben Lau is much more dominant in the air with his 10 headers per game. Jake Watson's more of a dribbler. Doesn't get any assist stars to Ruben Lau, but Jake Watson does like a pass over the top, which is kind of linked into that. They score about the same because they've both played about the most. Jake Watson does score more, though, quite a considerable amount more, and they have the same PPG because they played the same number of minutes, or minutes of game. I'm happy with Ruben Lau right now. I think Jake Watson's done well. I do think we could improve the defensive line, and we're going to need to, but honestly, they've both done phenomenally well this year. I think it has been covered up slightly by the fact that they have scored goals. Like, they've got 17 goals between them in all comps. That's a lot for centre-backs. But I think we can still improve. It's not my first choice, but the star ratings do concern me a little bit. And on the right-hand side, we're really looking at Jake Kelly versus Harry Shepherd, because Jack Holmes can technically play there, but would not have actually played there, and I don't know why. But yeah, so team conceded per 90 minutes. We are better defensively with Jake Kelly in the team. He makes more interceptions, better in the tackle, wins more tackles, better passing, less key passes, so he's less creative going forward, which would explain the lack of assists that he's got, and isn't as good in the air overall. Dribbles way better. Crosses are worse, which we do obviously understand. He has got some assists, though, to be fair, but does create way less chances. In fact, half the number of chances per game. We score less goals with Harry Shepherd in the team, but again, it's mostly been off the bench, so that's a little unfair. I don't know. I don't know if I want to give Jake Kelly a new contract, but part of me is wondering if maybe we should. It might depend on how much money he wants, because he's already on £300 a week as a star player, and I'm concerned that as a promotion comes along, he's going to want your 5s and 600s, and I just don't see the point in us paying that when I feel like we could find someone who might fit the team a little bit better. And I think maybe we just need someone who's a tiny bit more creative, maybe with like a 10 crossing and a 9 dribbling, that kind of level. That's maybe could be the difference between him being a good competent player and someone that can actually be a star for us at this league. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So I really do think that the right-hand side is going to need a revamp. And on the left, it's actually somehow... We've had very few injuries in the back line, and that's been really, really nice. We've had a really good spout of luck with injuries at the lower level, which is quite surprising, actually, for the most part. So yeah, it's mostly been Winfield and Webster. And I assume Winfield has absolutely dominated it. Although Webster, I just don't think he's played enough. He's played so many games that we've just got so little data to actually compare him on. His cross completion's better. His headers won is better. He dribbles more. He wins more headers. He makes more key passes. His passing is better. He creates more chances. And we win more games with Charlie Winfield in the team. I'm happy probably to give Charlie Winfield another contract extension. In fact, has he got a contract extension? He doesn't. I do try to put 1-year extension clauses in, but I may have already triggered it. I don't know. So, yeah, that's Charlie Winfield. I think, honestly... If we could find someone better, I will. But right back is probably a spot I'm a little bit more worried about. Right back and centre back, potentially, even though they've been good. I do think that just looking at star ratings sometimes can be a bit misleading, though. So you do have to be careful there and look at who's actually performing well. So defensive midfielders. Okay, we've actually got a bit more choice here because it's been Simba, Whitfield, Holmes, and De Gracia. So it's not too bad. So team conceded per 90 minutes. You could see that Kasimba and Whitfield are by far the choice pairing in that one, despite the fact Kasimba does not make anywhere near as many interceptions, though that might be because Perez de Gracia and Whitfield play in one position and Holmes and Kasimba play in the other. He's great in the tackle, though, which is really nice. Passing is roughly the same for all of them. He's very, very good at the key passing, and that's something we really, really do need. And I think that would explain the 7 assists. Now, he does take free kicks sometimes as well, so there is that we've got to factor in. He's done well this season. He really has. Dribbles per game. Cross completion as well is insanity. That's really, really good. So I want to get to the point where we can have a regista sat next to a ball in midfielder back there, or just a standard DM. That's what I really want to move to, but at this level, you cannot do that. So we're just going to stick with a DM and a ball in midfielder for now. That feels like you're in the Football League. Now we can maybe try and find a player that will fit that role perfectly. But until we can get ourselves in the Football League, I think we just need to persist with the current shape. And I'm actually pretty pleased with it. But that doesn't mean we can't still look for players that have got some of the attributes as a regista, or particularly if they're like 18, 19, we could train them into being a regista. So honestly, defensive midfield, obviously Whitfield's on loan, could try and get him back for next season. Not sure if I want to or not. Kasimba will be here regardless, and there's some contracts I will definitely renew. But again, there's going to be some players leaving this summer, and it's really going to shake the squad up quite a lot. I can see us definitely losing a good 10 players probably in the summer, and with me bringing in probably about 10 or 12 as well. So on the left-hand side, it's really been a battle of Walker Rice and Alfie Williams, quite frankly. We just, we can't hide unavailable because that would hide all of them because they're all on holiday. So this is what the comparison I was looking for. So we concede less goals with Walker Rice in the team. He does make less interceptions, though, but he does win more tackles. His passing is better. He makes more key passes. He's much worse in the air. That's what I will say. Like completely anonymous in the air. Better in the dribble. Same at crossing. Way more assists. Way more chances. We score more goals. We win more points. For whatever reason, Danny Walker Rice is the man for that role. And I'm really glad that we figured that out. And I think it has to be just because of the comparison in this. 14 and 12, whereas Alfie Williams has 11 and 12. That tiny little bit lack of aggression must well just be doing... and also, I don't know what he's like on the tackle as well. Walker Rice's tackling is 6, and Alfie Williams is 5. So that might be enough to just make him underperform slightly in that role. Then again, Alfie Williams hasn't been that bad in the role. but he's definitely been worse than Walker Rice because he got 9 assists this year, which is really, really noticeable, to be honest. So with them both being on loan next year, we know exactly what type of player we need to sign on that left-hand side, though. So I think just getting these players on loan this year has given me a lot of work on. We've now got a blueprint for what I want from our right and left-sided midfielders, and that's what's really, really important, is figuring out what we actually need in those positions. And I really do think that we could sign those types of players, like better versions of these guys with those same mental attributes on both sides and good tackling. We could genuinely be a defensive force next year, but a really aggressive team that really do just play for that badge and don't get so many yellow cards and stuff because of the whole lack of get stuck in now. So that's definitely something to look at. And on the right-hand side, it's basically, I mean, this is what I really want to see. Now, Miles Vincent has started 11 games. There's enough there for me to go, we need to look at these stats properly. So we concede more goals with Miles Bright in the team. He does win more interceptions, to be fair to him. But defensively, his tackle rate is nearly half that of Putman, Kitely and Vincent. I mean, that is shocking. Like, when he makes a tackle, he's usually quite decent at doing it, but he's never actually doing the tackle part of it. Now, he is decently creative. Now, can't take that away from him. He is decently creative. Same as Putman, Kitely, around about the same. Vincent really does lack the creativity, and that might have been why he might not have worked in that role, but he is good in the air and decent at the floor as well. Like, Miles Bright's all right in these attributes, but he's still not as good from the crossing as Putman, Kitely, but still pretty solid. Assist-wise, he's done okay. Chance creation, again, solid. We don't score as many goals with him in the team, though, and he can't hit the target, and his PPG is so low. Miles Bright, it really does, for me, come down to the tackling. Like, it's literally a straight downward spiral from tackling. So, yeah, I think there's no denying it now, really, that the number of tackles won per game by a winger in our team is one of the most important factors in the way that we play. And I think that's what we really need to focus on in the summer. Now, obviously, I still want them to have good crossing and dribbling and physical attributes, maybe a bit of height as well. But what I'm really looking for is that aggression, work rate, and maybe determination too. And if their tackling is decent, to like a 7 or an 8 even, that would be very, very interesting indeed. So there's definitely a lot to look at. And as for strikers, well, Mottram's not played. Krasnitsky barely played, and he's on loan anyway, so we weren't going to get him back next year. So it's really Hammett and Mills we're sort of comparing, but they are kind of apples to oranges because they're very different roles. Mills' role, we sort of look at Mills compared to Curtis Thomas slightly, who has started 10 games for us now. So we could see less goals with Curtis Thomas in the team, and he does win more interceptions, which is actually not surprising considering that he is a pressing forward. So he's going to be covering those passing lanes. Very, very interesting indeed. He does make more tackles than Ben Mills. He's not quite as creative as Ben Mills, but he's right in the same kind of area as all the others. He's not as good in the air as Ben Mills, but again, it's right in that same kind of area. He dribbles more than any of the others. In fact, he's got a really nice dribble on him for a striker, and he can cross a ball. Chance creation is the best except for Krasnitsky, who really has done very, very well in that one. And he has the highest PPG, but that could just be because he came in at the right time. So, and we don't score that many goals with him in the team. It's really hard to say from this point. So look, what I'm really looking at is the fact that Harry Hammett I want to bring back. Ben Mills, I might even bring him back as well, to be honest. Just if he can keep getting his money down further and further, then you never know, quite frankly. He's got another year in his contract anyway, so it doesn't matter. Curtis Thomas, I think he's got a contract till next season as well, so that's fine. I don't know. It's really hard to know what to do. Right side is something that definitely concerns me in terms of the wing backs. In fact, both sides, really. Centre backs, I would like to sign that guy that I've been looking at for like a year now, because he is now willing to talk to us, but he still wants lots of money. That might change if we go up another level, though. Because we'll have more influence over him potentially, and we can sort of put in clauses, because then the board might let me offer a little bit more in total, which I can leverage. Defensive midfielders, I do still want to sign more, and wingers, very, very important. Strike-wise, I'm actually not that concerned. If we find the perfect striker, then sure, but I'm content that Harry Hammett and Curtis Thomas could actually do a job for us in the National League. They're still not up to the level of the league, but we're massively overperforming, and I feel like we can continue to do that, quite frankly. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one this year. I think it's because we've had so many loan players, and we've slowly been figuring out what actually makes this strategy work, and now we're starting to play into that. Which means if we do figure it out and get the right players, next year we could easily go for like a nice mid-table, because again, the skill gap isn't going to be that large. The bigger teams in this division are going to be much, much better than us, and I feel like the playoffs are not even in the right picture, and I know we've said this before, but like I'm thinking this will be more like what it was last season. That's kind of what I'm expecting from us in the National League, and I'd be totally fine with that, but I think it might be a little bit more difficult. It really does depend, because we're going to be in a lot of financial trouble. And it does depend on whether we can actually make the signings I want to make. But if we could pick up a couple of frees, I mean, we have basically no money to spend on anyone, that's for sure. Free up a lot of wage budget by moving on some dead wood and really trying to rebuild the squad a little bit. Keep some of the core players and really just try to reinvest. And we've got loan signings too. And because we'll be National League, our rep will be up, and we might be able to start picking up some sort of championship players on loan. Like low, obviously youth players from Championship and high League One club type of player, like your Barnsleys and your Ipswiches. We weren't quite able to get Barnsley players last year, and it sucked because they had some really solid talent. I feel like this year we'll be able to get your players from like your Barnsleys and your Rotherhams and your Ipswiches, and those are the sort of clubs that could really give us a boost next season if we get the right players. So there you go. Now, what is the word of the day going to be today? I'll tell you what. I found an orange chocolate bar on my desk, and the word of the day is going to be bubbly, because that's what it's written on. It's one of those fake arrows that taste bloody delicious, I'm going to be honest with you. So, yeah, drop that in the chat if you reach this far into the video. That's your word of the day. I'll obviously be back tomorrow with some more transfer goodies, getting the old fishing hat out and whatnot, being the loudest man on earth. And, yeah, so if you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, drop a like on the video. That would be tremendous. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That would be awesome as well. I stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, sometimes at the weekend. Obviously not this weekend, but, others. And, yeah, I will see you guys very, very soon. Hold your gun. Capybara. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.